Welcome to the UFC, to the former Combate strawweight tournament champion, the champion herself, Super Melly, Melissa Martinez. Do you think that she likes Jadakiss, Matt?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, she might. And I mean, for Melissa Martinez, the last time she competed back in 2019, she is undefeated. She did win the belt. Split decision win over Desiree Yanez her last time out, and I've got a lot to say about that fight. But when you look at it for Melissa Martinez, why the long layoff? That really is the question, because we've seen a former Combate strawweight champ come into the UFC and have a lot of success. And that was, of course, Yasmin Jauregui not that long ago in her debut against Yasmin Lucindo. That was a fight of the night caliber fight. For Martinez, I did a real deep dive on this one, found an interview that she did with Danny Segura with MMA Junkie. The fact that her brother is Combate bantamweight champ David Martinez, who's 8-1. That's pretty cool. I mean, think about all the Combate bantamweights that we've had in the UFC, like Gustavo Lopez. There have been some but greats. For Melissa Martinez, these were some of the big talking points, because you will see it in her Instagram bio. You see it out there. Gold medal at the WAKO World Championships, 2016 Pan American champion in kickboxing, silver at Worlds in 2017. It very much is the hallmark of her game, but these are kind of the big things. I mean, she's looking to fill this gap by going out there and competing more in kickboxing, taking a bit of a focus off of MMA to hone her skills in the striking department. So took part in a lot of kickboxing tournaments, ended up focusing in on her studies as well, and she graduated back in the spring with a bachelor's in food chemistry. So pretty cool stuff for Melissa Martinez, but that explains why she's had this time away. Now, she comes into the UFC with that squeaky clean record, obviously the champion, taking on the former CFFC champ. And for Elise Reed, she had a really good amateur record. I mean, she was 7-1. She beats Rebecca Brigman over with Bellator. Orion Star, look into it. And then after that fight with Bellator, automatically she's in a fight against Jasmine Jasdavicius for the CFFC strawweight belt. Wins that fight, wins 2 more fights, defends that belt against good competition too. That's a big thing for Elise Reed. Win over Julian DeCourcy, who's doing the damn thing with Invicta. Win over Hillary Rose, that you know and love. And then she takes a short notice fight against Sijara Eubanks up a weight class.
That was hard to watch.
And it didn't work out all that well. Then she takes on Corey McKenna. Now, that one was in England. McKenna from Wales. One of the judges thought McKenna won the fight.
They weren't watching the fight.
It was weird. Elise Reed did do a good job with her striking. Really, and then her last time out against Sam Hughes, could not defend the takedown and got finished on the ground. For Elise Reed, if you know anything about her, 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo, owns the gym that she trains out of in kickside martial arts. She's, of course, the Virginia Military Institute graduate. She's a reservist with the U.S. military. So it's a really neat background that Elise Reed has. Struggles immensely with the takedowns, and that is a big thing. I mean, Corey McKenna was able to take, advantage of that a little bit in their fight. Eubanks was, and then, of course, so was Sam Hughes, to the tune of 1 takedown by Eubanks. That's all she needed. 3 of them by McKenna, 4 of them by Hughes. But when Elise Reed can flow with her striking, she succeeds. When Melissa Martinez can flow with her striking, she also succeeds. That's what makes this fight very, very fun, and I think it's going to be a lot more even than people might have you, believe.
It's just so hard to get a good read on Elise Reed due to her UFC tenure up until this point, because, again, for the longest time, I know I called out John Anik, not like he cares, but still, for saying that,
Miranda Maverick.
Thank you. Miranda Maverick was the 2nd best flyweight in the world after she had beat Luana Jojua. Goodness, I butchered this. But I genuinely thought that Sijara Eubanks was the 2nd best flyweight in the world if she could just make the weight. Now, I know that's a big O by the way, but still, Sijara Eubanks at 125 pounds is a legit world beater. She's way stronger than most of her opposition, and she does have phenomenal ground and pound. She was able to put that on display against Elise Reed and put on a great performance in that matchup. But that's the thing. She beat Corey McKenna and looked phenomenal in that performance, and McKenna's a prospect who I had really high hopes for. Now, I know she struggled with the takedowns in that, but she was really able to demonstrate just how good her striking looks when she is able to keep it on the feet and flow, like you had mentioned. But the loss to Sam Hughes really kind of destroys what my projections were for Elise Reed, because in my mind's eye, I would say Corey McKenna I probably think higher of than I do Sam Hughes. They have similar games, but still, I guess Sam Hughes relies a little bit more on her cardio, but they both go for the takedowns. They both struggle with pure strikers. So for Reed, I think it is a case of we just know what she is going to really struggle with for the rest of her career, and we know what she's going to excel at. Now, against Melissa Martinez, I do think Elise Reed's going to be the more active fighter between these two, and I think that could help her. She does move extremely well on the feet, and if she is able to mix in her punches with her kicks and not just be a boxer, because that's the thing with Elise Reed, when she does throw kicks in combination with her punches, she does have a ton of success with that, but sometimes fighters can crash the distance on her and really force her to become a boxer, and that eliminates a lot of the good parts in her game, so she really has to avoid kind of being over aggressive in a lot of these matchups.
Now, if you do look at this, originally Hannah Cifers was supposed to be in the matchup. Cifers out on July the 2nd, so full camps really for this matchup for both of these women. And if you look at it for Melissa Martinez, over with Combate, combined level of the opposition out of those 7 wins is 17-10. Her last win was over Desiree Yanez, who was 5-1 at the time, so you want to subtract that a little bit. It's 12-9 before. I mean, 3-2, 3-2s, 3-2s, 0-1s. Not really the greatest level competition. Again, beating them in the ways that you'd like, but if you go back through the 5-on-in, I really do hone in on that fight against Desiree Yanez, and Yanez doesn't fight like Elise Reed does, because in the matchup, Yanez was trying to take the fight to the mat the entire time, work the takedowns. It was a split decision win for Martinez, but, I mean, I thought Desiree Yanez, she took the second round. She might have even got a 10-8 in the second round. And in the third round,
Control the heck.
It was really close in the third round. And the other weird part about it was Martinez had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction in the clinch in the second round. So in the third round, she comes out wearing a t-shirt, which not
old
really.
Angela Magana.
Yeah, it was really weird. And Juliana Pena was like, I don't know if that's allowed. And she said it kind of under her breath, but you heard it. At the end of it, the commentary team's like, Melissa Martinez wins. And sometimes you don't know how the judges are going to judge these bouts because we didn't think that she won. So it was a good fight for Yanez. And if you look at Yanez's record now, she's since lost 2 fights over with Bellator to Vida Ortega and Bruna Ellen. So decent level of competition. Obviously, that doesn't really tell you the full story on Yanez. It's just for Martinez, struggles in the same positions that Reed does in the clinch with the takedowns. But if you want to see some Martinez fights where she looks damn good and facing competition that's pushing a pace on her, I mean, her second to last fight against Caroline Gallardo, that was one where Gallardo just kept pouring it on. Gallardo landed more volume, like Elise Reed could. Martinez catches her. Gallardo goes for a takedown. Martinez kind of stuffs it and then knees her in the head and knocks her dead.
It was filthy.
It was a really good win for her there, but I really do like this matchup. Again, it really is hard to try and give you a great prediction on this one because they both fight very similarly. Martinez hasn't taken on the greatest level of competition, whereas Elise Reed struggled with the takedowns, and that's been to her detriment in the UFC. So we have a look at the odds in this one. Reed open a plus 212 underdog, plus 135 now. Martinez open minus 252, minus 166 as it stands. Matt, Topology votes. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm going to assume the fans go with the undefeated fighter.
I would agree.
And Martinez, I'm going to say over under 75% Martinez.
I think it's going to be over.
I think it might even be like 90%. It's close. I should have gone with that. Matt, 651 total votes, 87% Martinez, 77% by decision, 14% by knockout. For the 13% that have Elise Reed, 89% by decision. The fans think that Melissa Martinez is the second coming of Abus Magomedov. Take 3 years off and knock out somebody in the first round.
Put your toe in another man's mouth.
Disgusting. I don't think Melissa Martinez is Abus Magomedov. I honestly don't have a ceiling projected
she's
for
Albus Dumbledore.
Melissa Martinez. I don't know how high the ceiling is just yet. I think this is, again, a really hard fight to try and offer a good prediction.
I do think her time off in striking is going to help her, specifically in this matchup, though. That's the thing. If she was fighting someone like a Tatiana Suarez, and I know that's a bad comp just because of how good she is, but get the idea. Just a primary
Randa
wrestler.
Marcos.
Exactly. If Randa decided to come back, then yes, that would be a difficult matchup for Melissa Martinez for all the reasons we've laid out. She does struggle with the takedown defense, and that is something that's probably still going to affect her to this day. But I do think the time off and her focusing individually on just specific parts of her MMA game are going to help her to some degree. She's only 25 years old. This time off, I do think, is going to help her quite a bit. So I am going to pick Melissa Martinez for this fight, but I do agree with you. I do have a hard time kind of figuring out what her ceiling is going to be long term. I don't put her in like the Jailton Almeida category for super prospects. So for Martinez, again, I like her in this matchup, but we'll see just how high her ceiling is.
Martinez is a tricky southpaw. She really does like to throw the jab out there a lot, double up on it, and then throw like a looping overhand left like Chuck Liddell in 2005. The other thing about Martinez that I don't necessarily love, especially in a matchup against Elise Reed, is her striking defenses. I back straight back with my hands dropped down and my head back kind of like...
You're saying that's not effective, Craig?
It's not good, but she did start off in MMA at 19. She's 25 now. She's taken the 3 years off, really honed in on her striking skills. So I'll go with kind of that futures, pick in Melissa Martinez, but not the most confident one on the card. And if you have Elise Reed, I don't have any strong argument against you down in the comment section. So let us know who you have in this matchup. Both of us going with Mexico's own Melissa Martinez, Super Melly, to get the win. We got a big time card coming up this weekend. Co-main event, Li Jingliang, the Leech, taking on Tony Ferguson, El Kukui. And in the main event, oh my goodness, Hamzat Chimaev, Boers, against Nate Diaz. It should be a great fight with my terrible Bruce Buffer impression. Can't wait for it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.